Attention, people of New World. I was working a bit tonight, and then I saw this thing coming up in my feed, and I had to get a video out. So, New World February update is here on Monday. Okay, like I said on stream today and throughout the week, it had to be either yesterday, because you're not going to put it on a Friday, or Monday. So what we're seeing here is Monday update. Before we get into it, I just want to say thank you for the support. Please keep doing that weird YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, tell everybody you know. Follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, YouTube, TikTok, all the things. Do the thing to get the points. Anyway, let's get into this. I'm just going to tell you what to expect, give you a couple pointers, point you to my other videos, but I just want to cover the gist of what's coming in this update. When is it going live? So we're going to have New World February update. Downtime will begin at 5 a.m. PT, so 1 p.m. UTC on February 28th. So we're going to have a little bit of downtime. It should be about 2 hours. But what are the big things coming out of the update? It is going to be bug fixes, balancing, and just some other weird little things here and there. But the big one is bug fixes. So you'll see they'll talk about the world experience, notable bug fixes. They're fixing Genesis first boss finally. Changing a couple of the other ones like Starstone, fixing some stuff out in the world like the thing where we could build camps off of each other. Well, they already fixed that. Some of these notes seem like they're already in the game, but just fixing little bugs around, adding in some lighting fixes, just general world fixes that, you know, it'll be nice. I'm sure there's things in here that we kind of overlook and then we'll notice it once we're actually in the game. New player versus AI collision system that's going to reduce pushback. This one I didn't even know was coming, but think about how much you get tossed around when you're in melee with other players, when you're with AI. You are all the time just getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed around. So this will be a really nice change as far as endgame goes, as far as open world content, everything. We also see some changes based on targeting. So I'm curious to see how targeting is going to look in the future. Otherwise, general AI fixes across the board for just random mobs if you want to look at those. Now, the one thing I do want to point out is the last changes. They're finally changing the last boss a bit. It does look like they're increasing the damage, the baseline lasers in phase 1 and 2. They're changing the last laser, doing a little bit more damage, and they're reducing the downtime between lasers in phases 1 and 2. So it seems like they're pushing phases 1 and 2 faster and making phase 3 a little bit longer, but that beam is going to hurt more. So increase 25% damage across the board, and his final laser does 15% of your health per second. So it's actually interesting. I think that'll give us a little bit more. So it's going to be about the same length of fight if you really think about it. Actually, it should be, lasers will be pushed even faster. So that final laser beam you're going to see somewhat faster still than you would have normally, and it's going to be chunking you. I'm interested to see what happens. I think it's a nice change that in general does 25% more, and this laser thing could be pretty neat. Could be pretty vicious. We'll have to see what happens with Laz. I still think it's not going to be a big deal. We'll have to see if they change some of the hitboxes, though. That's the one thing they don't really mention here. There's so many hitboxes where you can't get hit. They changed some of the mutator things, especially these curses. The curse ones where we needed some work. Censored damage normalized to 65% base health. That's a good one. Desiccated, 50% base health. So they're making these ones a little bit tougher. Good things on the mutator side. General changes. Combat is first. Weapon swapping, they have made it easier to weapon swap. I'm really curious to see. There's a 1 second swap cooldown in the cases where it will not interrupt those actions. Now, this is the one that everybody's excited about, weapon swapping. You can now swap weapons during hit reactions, dodges, traversals, and while using consumables, except weapon coatings. Buffers will no longer be canceled if you're staggered before the swap, and they can be queued simultaneously with attacks. So there's some cool stuff coming. Hopefully it makes it feel a little bit better. I know they said it's not instantaneous, but it should be better. And then the other big ones are dodging and blocking and jumping. They're making these more fluid. Big thing here with just swapping and moving, more fluidity. So we have shortened recovery time for dodges, meaning you don't have as much of like a stagger movement and you're not sitting there like a sitting duck for a while. But the other one is jumping. When you jump off of a high object, you're not going to fully commit to a land. You're going to continuously run. What else are we seeing? 300 focus attribute change. Everybody knows how I feel about that. It's still bad. It's still bad. Just general bug fixes, just descriptions of equipped loadouts. We then have just a bunch of weapon changes. All of these are really like quality of life or bug changes. So you can read through them if you want on your own time. I'll link the stuff. The one thing, it looks like they're making Fireball a little bit easier to hit and Fireball can now crit. So that is a Fire Staff buff, it seems like to me, right? There's also just some other random things coming in here, fixed issues, reduced delay timers, just quality of life. They do increase the Flamethrower's base movement speed, so having the haste buff might actually do something. I'd be curious. I'm going to give Fire Staff a little bit of a try. We see the updated gravity well, big changes there, making it a little bit different. It doesn't say that they kept the root, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if it's going to root or if they change back to the old version, so we'll have to see once it's actually live. Adjusted Ice Spike, Spiky Reach projectiles. So they're getting rid of one-shot Ice Spike, it seems. It says reduce or adjusted the projectiles fired from this upgrade to reduce the chance that a single target is hit with all 4 parts of the attack. Interesting. So that kind of looks like a removing one-shot Ice Spike to me. Sorry, OJ is in the camera. Come on, bud. And then we're getting Burst from Ice Pylon change. So that's a 3 meter radius. It's still going to be not very good, so you can kind of test that out on yourself. As far as life staff goes, though, they are fixing Beacon of Light with Speed of Light. You always get the haste now if you're in the circle, so you don't have to get healed. We're seeing some Sticky Bomb changes, reducing the base damage but allowing it to crit. Shooter stance fixes. Stopping power is getting a rework where it's no longer like your next shot. It just instead fires a bullet that will knock people back. Powder shots or power and powder shots can be overwritten. Rapier changes, although the thing with the Rapier is it doesn't really say that they're adjusting any of the cooldowns, which is kind of confusing to me. So I don't know what we're going to be seeing as far as the cooldown thing. It's not in the patch notes. I don't know. I think just looking through all of these, we get the Spear, just fixing issues. Sword and Shield, they're changing the hitbox a little bit on Shield Rush just so that it can be like that weird like out of range issue, but you're still hitting them. They're fixing that, making it a little bit better. But what I'm seeing on most of these is they're not really doing the things that they said they were going to do yet. Like if you look at Void Gauntlet, Mending Evasion, right? They fixed that. That's the bug I had talked about on live stream where you're getting your cooldown back. But there's nothing about the Scream cooldown being increased, which I think is interesting. Same thing with the Rapier, and then Gravity Well isn't the Gravity Well they had mentioned. So I don't know if these patch notes are a little bit out of whack or what. But then we're getting also just some fixed issues on buffer attack inputs with the Warhammer. Hardened Steel, they're nerfing that passive, so a little bit of a hammer nerf it looks like, but otherwise general fixes. Weapon ability perks, just all of these are bug fix things that, are working. It looks like they're working on calculations of elemental and physical aversion things. It's good, right? A lot of the stuff we might not see on the front end, but is there on the back end. That's what they're working on, so that's nice. Weapons should feel a little bit better with all the animation changes, all the weapon adjustments for abilities, but I'm just curious what's going on with their balancing portion because it doesn't really look like any balancing is being done as far as the weapons they had discussed. Just some general changes with Wars Invasions, fixing issues in Outpost Rush. They have now reworked Outpost Rush scoring, so this is a big one. So dealing damage now increases your score. That's big. So you DPSers can be at the top now. Changing general like nameplate things, reduces the amount of points gained from, killing AI, killing players, but you will see more health from some of the PvE mobs, which I don't know if I like, but they are nerfing the brutes. I don't think I've ever seen the Corrupted Priest before, but I don't know. But in general, Corrupted Brute nerf looks good. 13% less health, 10% less damage, bonus damage from Siege. The Siege now do more damage. What else are we getting? Baroness's Lockout is from 3 minutes to 2.5. Anything else that's big? I think that's all gameplay-wise. They're not really changing how it actually functions as a game. They're making the score lock a little bit shorter, but they're really fixing the scoreboard. And I think that's the one everybody's been asking forever to actually fix, so it's not just healers on top. Then what we're getting, though, this is the biggest thing, adjusted rewards. We get Umbral Shards, 100 on win, 50 on loss. Faction tokens, we get more of them now. And then the caches give Outpost Rush specific armor. And these are going to be some really solid items. It's going to give a specific armor and a specific weapon. So 2 pieces of armor, 1 weapon, and then a 15% chance for a 4th piece, which can be a piece of jewelry. And these are going to be way better. They're going to be PvP specific, and they're going to be some of the best PvP gear that you can get. So there is a chance too that it's a named item. It's apparently the same chance. So there are some, if you've ever looked in the loot table for these, there's some hidden legendaries in there. It's going to be those items. You also get more expertise from Outpost Rush. And like I was saying before, now rolls off of a fixed list of perks that are more ideal for PvP combat. That means Beast Ward won't be found on Outpost Rush gear. That's really, really, really nice. And they have changed Illusory Enigma. I don't even know what that is. They got rid of Beast Ward on it. I'm assuming it's a legendary item that can be dropped in there, and is now replaced with Keen. Anything else, it's scoreboard and rewards that are really coming out of OPR. Some quest changes, economy and progression. So they are making it easier to level trade skills. If you haven't seen this, Arcana, Armoring, Engineering, Furnishing, Jewel Crafting, Weaponsmithing, 10% less XP required now. That's actually a lot when you think about it. So beautiful. Love that. It's going to make it easier when I finally decide to do the grind. Some of those weird schematics that are legendary right now, but not very good, they switched them to epic. And then just a bunch of bug fixes. Again, still bug fixes. They created a trade chat, actually, a trade chat channel. So that'll be interesting to see how that gets implemented. You can now see a player's average gear score and their weapon mastery for 2 equipped weapons and their attribute allocations on the warboard. This is one I did want to highlight. I'm excited for that one. So we can now actually set up groups for invasions and wars. So that's super exciting. But otherwise, all just random bug fixes that you will see as you're going, just things you've kind of gotten used to in New World that you're like, oh, you've come to love them, but they're finally out of the game. End game stuff otherwise, they're making Obsidian Gypsum easier, Purple Gypsum easier. You can now buy a Gypsum Orb for 7,000 faction tokens a day, and Topaz Gypsum has no minimum drop time cooldown, so you can just get it constantly. Smelter gear out of tier 3 aptitude boxes, general fixes. Anything else, they're changing taxes. We are going to have to pay less tax, but you're still going to be getting that tax revenue as a company. Again, leveling curve for fishing nerf, that's more than the rest, but it's 38% nerf. They're making cooking aptitude containers a little bit harder to get. And then the biggest one is Umbral Shards, I think, personally. Open up the cast you've been stockpiling now. Baseline, any cast you open is going to get you 100 Umbral Shards, no matter what it is. So that's big when you're trying to force some upgrades. So it should be a lot better getting your sets up to 625. Let's see anything else. Some other bug fixes. And then the last thing that I really want to mention is this. Fast travel costs. Fast travel from towns and shrines will always be a base cost of 20 Azoth. There are no longer cost adjustments for distance or weight, meaning we're always going to have cheap fast travels finally. In Recall, 30 minutes now, and reduce the cost of resetting fast travel cooldowns on houses from 50 to 20 Azoth. So there's just no more Azoth sync. Fast travel will be very, very nice. And here are some of the actual changes, the balancing changes that I had mentioned weren't actually there before. So we have Void Gauntlet, Rapier. We were talking about these earlier. So we will be seeing these changes. There are the weapon ones. I don't know why they put them down here, not by the weapons. Maybe it's just because they're more bug fix related. But Void Gauntlet nerf, Rapier nerf, Great X, Gravwell change. That's all for the patch. Get ready for it. Some tips, go watch my other videos. Get ready for this patch. Try and get your casts and stuff made still. You have time. Do as much as you can over the weekend to prep, farm up some ore, maybe get ready for smelter gear. Go look at my tips. I have my last 2 videos on the channel, but I just wanted to tell everybody that it's coming. So as always, thank you all for all the support. If you want to support me directly, feel free to hit up my Patreon, but thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you to every single one of you for being you.